seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me!
All right. It's what night is it? Is it Friday night? It's Friday night. It's the Radio Baloney Live on Friday night. I am your host, Richie Baloney. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope everybody's had a good week. Hope anybody who was down in the path of Hurricane Milton is okay or got out. But it's been a long week, and there's a lot of news. Looks like we got JJ Nevada in the chat. Good to see ya. Looks like we got Rosie in the chat. Good to see ya. I got a couple of, I believe a couple of the stories you sent me on X, Rosie. Those should be coming up at some point in this long stream we're going to do tonight. They'll be there somewhere. Let's see. Looks like Nevada got the first like of the night on the stream. Very well done, sir. That's double good karma. Double good karma. The first one is double good karma. And don't forget, anybody out there who hasn't subscribed to the channel yet, you can get your own free at no cost to you. Free good karma from Radio Baloney. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and also put a like on the stream. You get karma for both of those. I'm just giving that away for free. All right. So again, hope everybody's had a good week. And what are we going to talk about? Well, let's go through the menu. Of course, we have our muse on the channel here. First off, we'll start off with the muse, the cook. Absolutely mesmerizing. But what are we going to talk about? Well, there's growing chatter about Justin Trudeau and calls for him among his own MPs, his own Liberal MPs, to step down because he's destroying the Liberal Party. He's burning it to the ground. Nobody wants him anymore. Nobody. I mean, we can see the polls. The polls tell the story. Conservatives have a greater than 99% chance of getting a majority government, which will mean they won't have to cooperate with anybody, let alone the Liberals, after the next election. So, you know, obviously there's a lot of MPs worried about losing their jobs because Trudeau is so unpopular, so incredibly unpopular, and for good reason. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about Addictions Minister Yara Sachs defends the harm reduction approach to the drug crisis, which includes drug injection sites. And of course, it includes like decriminalizing drugs and a whole host of other insane things, arguing that this approach saves lives. They keep saying this, and I keep bringing up the stats that show that no, it actually costs lives by an order of magnitude more lives. And we'll take a look through all of this. Here's the thing about the modern left. The modern authoritarian left is that they will never admit they're wrong. All right? There's no statistics. They're completely impervious to statistics, real statistics, to reality. They are completely immune to reality, completely resistant to it. And they don't care if their policies kill more people, a lot more people. No. The ideology says this is the way to go. So we have to try and fit the world into the ideology as opposed to the other way, which is insane, which is the sane way, which is fit the ideology into the real world and see if it works or not. I mean, the data on this is not ambiguous at all. Harm reduction kills. It does the opposite of what they say. That it does the opposite of what its proponents, its far left proponents, say it does, which is the way with everything, isn't it? All right, what else are we going to talk about? Trump vows to invoke Operation Aurora to deal with Venezuelan gangs, calls for death penalty for migrants that kill Americans, and police. So I kind of feel like this might be more appealing to men because the Harris campaign is trying desperately and pathetically to attract men, particularly white men, to them with a series of just embarrassing ads. And somehow they thought that Tim Walz was going to do it. Not working out so well. This is going to be more appealing to men, quite frankly, because men are concerned with law and order. And they don't like having Venezuelan gangs in their neighborhoods. In fact, it shouldn't really be appealing to anybody, should it? But anyway, we'll talk about that. Here is this political ad. I believe this is not officially, hold on, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. I'm not sure where this ad came from. It looks like it is a real ad from somebody who wants Harris to win, but this is another one. It's man up vote. Another one that's supposed to be appealing to men. So it's not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee, but it's cringe enough that you have to think they might have had something to do with it. What else have we got? We've got lots of stuff. I mean, there's lots of political stuff, obviously, right? Let's see. Okay, let's keep going. We got some stuff on Kamala. There's a teleprompter where she's giving this talk here. We'll talk about that. Of course, we've got Trump stuff. And I think what we need to remember to do tonight is to, in our... We have to remember to get Grok to do some more portraits of Trump. The best art, AI art that Grok, which is the formerly Twitter, now X AI, the best art that it will do will be Trump art every single time. The Trudeau art, garbage. Doesn't even look like him, but the Trump stuff is actually great. And I've been posting those, your suggestions to Grok, and it's done some fantastic things. I've been posting those, what Grok AI has come up with based on your suggestions on my Twitter account at Radio Baloney. So we only do it on Fridays. So probably tomorrow I'll be posting whatever we come up with tonight. If we do that, you guys will have to remind me. All right. We're going to talk about Trump stuff. And we'll just keep going through this stuff while we wait for everybody to show up. What else we got here? More WEF crap. We've been doing this the last few streams, going through some of this dystopian WEF garbage. Here we've got one where WEF agenda contributor, as she delivers a sales pitch for personal carbon allowances. This is so that somebody who's wealthy can buy carbon allowances of somebody who's not and who can't afford to fly. So that will, assuage their conscience, I guess. They're not really killing the planet by flying because there's somebody who can't afford to do it. So you're buying their right to fly. And this is the way that they see it, by the way. That's the way. This is the dream. This is the ideal for the people at the WEF. They get to travel. Nobody else does. Everybody else is too poor to do it. You can sell them your carbon rights for enough to buy like a bag of rice, maybe. All right. So we're going to take a look at that. Pierre Poilievre continues to press the Liberals on the slush fund scandal. So we'll get to this. I think we were going to do this last week. We didn't get to it. It's just, the thing is with the Trudeau government is it's so corrupt. Like there are literally new scandals every week. You can't keep up with it. It's impossible. I mean, eventually you just shrug your shoulders and you go, can we just get rid of him, please? Like, this has just got to end. We'll sort it out after he's gone. It's too much. You can't keep track of it all. I mean, this is by far the most corrupt government in Canadian history. Maybe it's got to be giving every other corrupt government a run for its money. All right. We're going to have a little bit more on the Jasper fire, the Jasper wildfire. And essentially, there was a disastrous wildfire, Jasper National Park, Jasper. And it turns out that the Liberal government, the federal government, which controls the national parks in Canada, had been warned over and over again since 2017 that there was a bunch of deadwood from the pine beetle. The pine beetle had killed a bunch of trees. There was a bunch of fuel just sitting there waiting to go up in a disastrous fire, and they did nothing. I wonder if perhaps, I don't know, maybe they saw some political advantage in doing that. Because, look, with Trudeau, all he's got now is climate. Because the whole racist, sexist, phobe, istanism and phobe stuff, it's just played out now. Nobody's listening anymore. the current year stuff isn't working anymore. So he's really just got climate now. And I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Let's see. We've got some Pierre Poilievre here talking about this, just a terrorist group in Canada. Another one under Trudeau that he welcomed into the country. That's wonderful. We've got tons of stuff. It turns out that Jamie Lee Curtis is a total retard. And we'll get into that, of course. We've got some Ricky Gervais for you. What else do we got? We've got some just full-on Kamala tards on CNN here. We've got a comedian here in New York. We've got a man who likes to dress up as a baby. So is this real or is this false? You know what this will be? This is going to be our segment. We haven't done these for a while, but this is going to be our, is it real or is it parody? We will find out.
It's a total fabrication.
Or
you're right. It's fact.
We don't know yet, but I have an answer for you, and I can tell you if this is real or not. We'll do that at some point. There's a woman with just a giant ass, and like she's not fat. This is all like, these are implants. I don't understand what's happening here. How can this, what, how does this happen? Who does this? Why would a doctor do this? This doesn't make any damn sense. We'll get into that. That ass is too big. It's comically big. We've got Skynet, Tesla robots here. So I like Elon Musk a lot. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, but I mean, we've all seen Terminator, right? We know where this goes. Eventually they do hunt us down and kill us, all of us, because they hate us. So we'll talk about that. And we of course got some stuff with some, look at this. Good Lord. We have to have some stuff just to kind of cheer us up. Some palate cleansers. We got some Joe Rogan in here. We got this. This is quite funny. Another giant ass. What's happening? We've got this guy. He's definitely trolling. More Joe Rogan. We got lots and lots and lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. Of course, we've got, if you've never seen the channel before, we have Grok versus Trudeau every Friday until Trudeau is no longer in office. I will get Grok, which is the X, formerly Twitter, AI, to write a poem about Justin Trudeau. It must have three things. He must do blackface, he must get a vaginoplasty operation, and he also must, at the end of the poem, get shot out of a giant cannon into the sun. We'll see what we came up with. We'll see what it came up with. Spoiler alert, it's pretty good. And we have a new entry into our muses, into Radio Baloney Muses. This one here, she's sanding something. She's working hard. Then, of course, we have the chef. So when things get tough, when things get hard on this channel, when things get a little depressing and down, we can always count on the cook to cheer us up a little bit. So relaxing, so hypnotic, so like meditative. Wonderful. So we'll go back to her. She always cheers us up, and I think we can all give her a hearty thanks from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you, cook. And of course, we have the puppy palate cleanser as well, the puppy palate cleanser. And look at this guy. There he is. His best friends are all little chicks. I mean, what? That's beautiful. I hope Justin Trudeau never finds them and gives them puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. God knows what else. That man is a moral monster. Anyway, let's get to the chat quickly before we get started. What are you guys talking about? Looks like we just got JJ and Rosie in the chat so far. Hopefully everybody else will join us soon. Let's see. Oh, Rosie's been posting invites on Truth and X. Well, thank you, Rosie. You're awesome. Everybody else should do that as well. Let's see. Rosie's a fan of the duckies. It is very cute. Just keep them away from Justin Trudeau. Candle Monkey, how you doing? Good to see ya. So this is a cooking show. Kind of. Let's see. All right. I guess we'll just get started then. Let me have a sip of my rant juice first, though. Hold on. It's night, so I got to have the rant juice. Hey, we got Shadow Walker in the chat. Good to see you. Welcome in. All right, let's get to this. So, this is from the Toronto Star, which is surprising. Toronto Star are, they're all in for the Liberal Party. I think what's happening now, the legacy media, is it's not that they don't hate they like the Liberal Party. They want the Liberal Party to win, but they've come to grips with the fact that dear leader Justin Trudeau is hurting their beloved party. So they're finally deciding that maybe it's best if he just goes. I mean, they love the fact that he says current year, that he does things because it's current year. They love that. They love the fact that he wants to give sex changes to every child in the country. They love that. They love the fact that he's doubled the national debt. They love that. They love the fact that he calls everybody who disagrees with them, a racist or a misogynist or a white supremacist or far right or MAGA. They love that. It's just that it's not working, right? He's burning down the party. He's burning the Liberal Party to the ground. He's destroying it, and they don't like that. And I think with a great deal of sadness and regret, they just think it's time for Justin Trudeau to go, or they're just at least entertaining the idea that dear leader, maybe his time has run out. Maybe he's worn out his welcome. And, you don't have to believe me. Here's the federal projections, federal vote projections. Look at this, 21-point lead for the Conservatives over the Liberals. They're not going to recover that. Even if they replace the leader, they're not going to recover that. Look, odds of outcome for a Conservative Party majority, in which case they wouldn't have to work with any other parties to pass any legislation, greater than 99%. Sure. The election probably is not going to be until October next year, maybe in the spring. If nothing happens, if there's not a revolt, if he's not just forced out somehow. Yeah, but it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter how it could be in 3 years. It's just going to get worse the longer he's in power, I guess is my point. All right. So inside the not your usual rabble rousers, inside the growing calls among MPs for Justin Trudeau to step down. Obviously, when you got a bunch of MPs that are worried about losing their jobs, losing their seats. I mean, it's going to be a slaughter in the next election. It was short, concise, and eyebrow-raising. And I should say as well, Althea Raj, she's a lefty journalist in Canada. So it's interesting that she's writing this. It was short, concise, and eyebrow-raising. At the Liberals' National Caucus meeting in Ottawa on Wednesday morning, the chair of the Atlantic Caucus, an ambitious young Nova Scotia MP named Cody Blas, went to the microphone to report on the discussions earlier held at the Regional Caucus. Quote, Atlantic Caucus had a difficult, frank, and open conversation about the future of the party, he told Liberal MPs, according to sources in the room. Then he left. That's it. Doesn't sound like they're happy. MPs looked at each other. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was not there. Of course he wasn't there. He's running away from his problems, I think. He'd left earlier in the week for Laos for a meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. He is scheduled to return Saturday. You can run, but you can't hide, Justin. Quote, people were like, what does that mean? Recounted one MP in the room. It means they don't like Justin. I guess it's like, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say anything at all. It's sending a message is what it means. As the Star As the Star earlier reported, there is growing frustration that the planned ad campaign discussed last month at the caucus meeting in Nanaimo, BC, hasn't materialized, that there is no national campaign director announced and no cabinet shuffle yet. What's also changed in the last few weeks is that since Parliament has been back, Liberal MPs have spent a lot of time together. They've started talking to each other more openly, more candidly. And they've come to realize beyond their circles of trust, there are more MPs who share their point of view. What point of view is that? Trudeau's got to go. I mean, Trudeau's campaign manager quit, and they still haven't replaced him, apparently. So, that's bad. He quit because he didn't think that Trudeau could win, because he looked at this like every other person in Canada, apparently, aside from Justin Trudeau. Trudeau is refusing to acknowledge reality. Last week's Nanos poll showing the NDP ahead of the Liberals didn't help. Now, the Liberals are perpetually, like the third party behind the Conservatives and the Liberals, with never any hope of ever winning an election, right? They can play spoiler, essentially. Or with a minority government like the Liberals, they can, at least in theory, use their power in Parliament, their votes in Parliament, to get things out, get concessions out of the Liberals. But last week's Nanos poll showing the NDP ahead of the Liberals didn't help. Neither did the Prime Minister's interview on Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith's podcast, which seemed to further demonstrate to MPs the lack of urgency to execute on any strategy that could restore public support. Yeah, he just refuses to acknowledge reality anyway. I mean, he can go at all the podcasts, he can do all the interviews that he wants, but if everything he's saying is just delusional, like Canadians are excited for another 500,000 permanent residents every year, just not true. Canadians are super not excited about that, and the polling shows it. More MPs appear to have concluded that they can't win under Trudeau. Their constituents report being afraid of Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. And option C has become liberal revolt. Get a new leader. In the words of another MP. Their constituents report being afraid of Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. I hope you're proud of that, of your propaganda, what your propaganda has achieved. They're afraid. It should be rewritten. Their constituents report being afraid of reality and common sense. But anyway, and option C has become liberal revolt, get a new leader, in the words of another MP. Obviously, these conversations are going to be going on. I mean, like 100 MPs are going to lose their seats, right? Of course they're worried about this. Of course, it is so obvious. Who could not see the disaster looming and how much Trudeau is disliked, not even disliked, despised across this country? MPs were granted anonymity to speak candidly without fear of repercussions about internal party matters. The result is at least one effort. There appears to be several groups of MPs talking to publicly pressure the Prime Minister to step down. This is not your usual rabble-rousers. This runs deeper than that, offered a third MP. I don't know what it would take to get Trudeau to step down. Honestly, I don't know if he ever would. I don't know if there's any amount of public humiliation that could force him to step down. I mean, he might just be that delusional and narcissistic. I mean, we can all pray that he does. I don't think it will help the parties, the Liberal Party's fortunes in any way. I think that their name is mud right now. But yeah, there's something uniquely awful and destructive about Trudeau when it comes to Canadian politics. We've never seen anybody this destructive and counterproductive and condescending and arrogant, and I think malign. Like, I don't think that Trudeau's father Well, I think Pierre Elliott Trudeau, although being a terrible PM and, leaving the country with a massive national debt, just like his son, I don't think he actually hated Canada, though. Like, I think he actually did like the country. He was just really bad at being prime minister. Let's see. They've talked about storming the microphone at caucus to urge Trudeau to resign. Sounds like it's getting serious. Calls were being made this week asking MPs to sign a letter. There are at least 30 to 40 MPs ready to sign it, according to several caucus sources. Well, that won't be enough, but I mean, if that's just the start, that's good. More MPs believe Trudeau should step aside, but getting a critical mass, said a fourth MP, which is at least half of the Liberal caucus, or 76 MPs, to sign it might be a challenge. 37 out of 152 MPs are already cabinet ministers. Several aspiring backbenchers and parliamentary secretaries hope their ticket will come up in a cabinet shuffle, one that is rumored to happen before the end of November. Others are hedging their bets, wanting to ensure that the resulting movement amounts to something, that they are not putting themselves into a position where they will be hung out to dry. How about just some courage? I mean, if you guys actually give a shit about the country, you know that Trudeau has to go. I mean, just the Liberal Party itself will be better off with literally anybody. Anybody. You could just pick somebody off the street and put them in, and people will like them better than they like Trudeau. In fact, it's almost certain that if they even just have the slightest bit of affection for the country, that they'll make better choices than Trudeau, because everything that Trudeau has done seems explicitly designed to ruin the country. Everything. But anyway, I mean, I guess you can tell I don't like Trudeau, right? But how about just show a little bit of spine, a little bit of courage? Like, show that you actually care about the country. That you're not just, like, others are hedging their bets, wanting to ensure that the resulting movement amounts to something. Well, why not just do it? I mean, you'll earn more respect. You'll earn more respect for a political future and a better political future by showing that you have some backbone now, instead of just being craven cowards. And clearly self-interested. Several aspiring backbenchers and parliamentary secretaries hope their ticket will come up in a cabinet shuffle. Yeah, like rearranging the decks on the Titanic. Really? That's how you want to succeed? You're going to scheme self-interestedly while the Titanic sinks? Honestly, it's kind of gross, isn't it? Will those organizing the current effort be successful? It's too early to tell. Several former advisors and trusted friends have told Trudeau recently he should go. Nothing appears to have changed. Could this movement lead to something different? Will Trudeau prorogue Parliament to save his and his government's future? Proroguing is basically suspending Parliament. And the one really positive side of that is that all of his legislation gets scrapped, including the stuff that's at the Senate. So everything gets scrapped and has to be started all over again. So his internet censorship bill C-63, with the pre-crimes and all of that would all get scrapped. It would have to be started again from scratch, which would mean it's very unlikely that would ever actually become law, which would be a fantastic thing. So I'm kind of hoping that he prorogues the government, because I don't think he's going to step down. And he's going to try and push his censorship bills because he thinks that will give him an advantage in the next election. If dissenting voices can be shut down by his woke stormtroopers, essentially. Or will he face the growing calls for him to go from an increasingly dissatisfied caucus? Or will he face the growing calls for him to go from an increasingly dissatisfied caucus? As PMO ponders, as the Prime Minister's office ponders how to mute the mutiny before it begins, MPs are left to wonder how long the Prime Minister can really hang on. Well, every last second is the answer. I don't think he's going to step down. I think he's delusional at this point. He's not going to go. they are going to have to drag him out screaming. I think he's determined to go to last every second that he can. And why is that? Honestly, at this point, I mean, nobody could think that there's no person who had done the same things as him, passed the same legislations as him, that have the same record of leadership as him, and think that they've done a good job. You can't look at the polls and think that the public thinks you've done a good job. That's impossible. Why is he doing it then? He's not doing it to serve the country, clearly. Clearly, if he really cared, he would have reversed his policies, pretty much all of them, years ago. Said, this isn't working. Let's move on. Let's try something else. Somebody who cared would have done that. Trudeau doesn't. It almost feels like, again, with his obsession with jamming as many people into the country as possible, even though now he's talking about, oh, we're going to cut down on the foreign students who actually are the last ones they should worry about. He's still gleefully talking about the 500,000 permanent residents a year, which is an insane number for a country the size of Canada, in terms of population, in terms of infrastructure. Why is he still doing that? He knows it's wrecking the country. He knows the country can't handle that. The economy can't handle it. Healthcare can't handle it. The infrastructure can't handle it. Nothing can handle it. It's just too much. Yet he's still gleefully moving forward and gaslighting Canadians about how that's what they really want. Canadians really want that. Canadians want all of rural India to come to Canada. Not really. Not really. Ask us. We'll tell you. It might be too many people. Yet he keeps doing it. Who is he serving? He's not serving the Canadian people. He's serving something else. I think at this point, what else are we to conclude? Is he serving people that he goes and meets every year in Davos? People at the UN? He's not serving Canadians. So anyway, I mean, look, the writing's on the wall. He's done. He's done. I'm hoping that there will be some successful attempt to get him to step down, because he is just, every day that he's in power, it's worse. It's a little bit more damage. It's every day that he's in power. I don't know what, it's probably a month of damage that will have to be reversed. I mean, we're talking generational damage at this point, not stuff that can be fixed in 4 years or 8 years. But there we have it. Growing calls among MPs for Justin Trudeau to step down. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, I'd like him to leave. Everybody just wants him to go. Please go. He's that guy. The party's over. It's 4:00 in the morning. He's still nursing the third of the 4 California coolers he brought, and he won't fucking go home. That's Justin Trudeau. Let's see. Okay, let's get to the chat. We're already 36 minutes in. What the heck is going on? Let's see. Let's see. Well, there's lots of chat going on. Okay. You guys are praising the cook. That's excellent. Rosie's saying, I've searched for new muses. I'm definitely not a good judge of muses. Well, these are the kind of muses that inspire us here on Radio Baloney. There's a cook, of course. But then there's also the sandwich cook. He was a great muse. Fantastic muse. Now, I've also added another tab. It's called No Cooking, Just Hot. So here's a woman who is sanding. As you can see there, she's sanding. So she does have a skill. It's just not cooking. So you can see she's quite good at sanding. And then we have Selma Hayek as well, who's 57. And she's timeless. Absolutely timeless. But as you can see, she's not cooking either. So I'm afraid she doesn't get to go into the cooking tab. The cooking muse tab. And then, of course, we have this one who just has no, obvious evident skills. except for one. Except for one. But anyway, that's what we have on this channel. That's how we roll. Let's see. So anyway, you can send us recommendations, Rosie, for new muses. Let's see. Nevada says, check out Ryan Long. He's funny. I like him. I don't have anything for this stream, but I'll keep an eye out for the future. Rosie saying, apparently actual statistics for gender-focused healthcare in USA have been released. I did see something on the X that you sent today. That is something I actually covered in a video a little while ago, in just a regular video. So if you guys are, if everybody's subscribed to the channel, you can go check that out. You can find that somewhere. Just put in, I don't know, Radio Baloney gender or something. And oh, by the way, we're streaming both live to both Rumble and YouTube, and we start every stream going on both YouTube and Rumble. And usually after about an hour and a half, I cut off the YouTube part of it because there's just too much censorship on YouTube. And it's too risky to keep going for too long. So we cut off that one, but then we continue on for hours. I'm talking hours afterwards on Rumble. And there's always way more people that watch on Rumble anyway. And the chat's almost all Rumble people. So it's wonderful. You can introduce yourself. Everybody's very friendly. Won't be a problem. But we'll keep going on YouTube for another half hour or something like that before we shut it down. All right. Let's see. Rosie's asking, my biggest wonder about these muses, like the sandwich woman, is that do they do floors and windows, or just sandwiches and cook, or just sand and cook? I'm feeling like she does some floors and windows. I'm thinking so, as well as the sandwiches. All right, let's see. Nevada says there should be a window washer out there somewhere. That could work out awesome. My mind is right in the gutter. Let's see. We got Antipop in the chat. Good to see ya. Let's see. Antipop says, I see similarities between the turd vagina and LeBron's kid. I don't know what's going on with LeBron's kid. I thought LeBron's kid was playing with him on the Lakers or something last time I heard. I don't know, but turd vagina. I mean, I've said this before. We're kind of more of a true gina channel here, but turd vagina is good too. I don't want to dissuade you from using it. I'll still give you the applause. But just so everybody knows out there that anytime you drop a true gina in the chat, you do get an applause. Or True Tard also gets an applaud as well. Let's see what else we got here. Antipop says, good evening, Baloniacs. You are Baloniacs. Nevada says, I don't know anything about LeBron's kid, and I don't want to. Did he is he another one of these celebrities that trans their kids? Rosie says, can we get Baloniacs and the degenerates? Yes, you can get both. Let's see. Nevada says, actually, I'm a deplorable. Good for you. We support deplorables here. Let's see. Nevada says, Trump had awesome rally in Reno, Nevada today. You know, I didn't catch it. I might have a clip of it, though, coming up at some point. Rosie says, Richie, what is your background? Maybe you should run. I'm going to run away from running. Is what I'm going to do. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Rosie says True Gina would care more, but he has a slight learning disability, as he says. Well, it is what Rosie says. In fact, let's fact check that.
Fact check.
I have a slight learning disability.
See, it's true. Rosie knows. See, Rosie says California coolers. You know that's what Trudeau drinks. Let's see. I don't know. They still make those? They still make those? I don't know. That's what 15-year-old girls drank at parties out at the park back in the 80s. Let's see. Rosie says, so the tabs are hot cooking and no cooking, just hot. Well, this one is the yay or nay tab. Yay or nay. So this began with the Marvin Gaye yay or nay. Let's Get It On song that we awarded to those deserving. And then, but there are other ones that could be possible muses too, but don't have any discernible skills. I mean, in the video, they're not doing anything. I mean, Selma Hayek's great actress, right? So she's got some skills, but she's not really doing anything in the video other than showing us that she still has big, juicy tits. This one here, I don't know, is sanding something that it looks like she's not sanding. There's no purpose to sanding that, just a piece of junk. So I'm not going to say that I count that as a skill. I don't know what kind of skill she's got outside of this video. Let's see. So no cooking, just hot. We have a good time on this channel. Let's see. What else we got here? Maybe I should leave that on, actually. While I go through, finish off the chats here. Let's see. We got Ruben Kincaid in the chat. Good to see you. Welcome in. Makes a very good point here, an excellent point. Trudeau is finished. He's walking dead. Yeah, 100%. In fact, that gets a clap right there. What's he hanging on for? Only he knows. Or maybe only he and Klaus Schwab knows. Amada says, check sexy car washes. I'll have to check that one out for next time. We can keep pestering me through the evening. Let's see. Let's see. Antipop says he won't last a month talking about Trudeau. I don't know, man. He's like a cockroach at this point, right? Antipop says 2 weeks. I don't know. JJ Nevada says, I thought California coolers were big fake tits. I've never heard that before. I just know it is a drink for 15-year-old girls that their big sister bought them that they would take to party in the park. Let's see, on Friday night, obviously. All right, let's move on. So, we're going to get into some more serious stuff now. Addictions Minister Yara Sachs defends the harm reduction approach to the drug crisis, which includes drug injection sites, arguing that this approach saves lives. Uh-oh, turns out I've got some statistics here from the government. Uh-oh, I wonder if this is all going to turn out to be bullshit, and she's just a woke lunatic who refuses to admit it. Refuses to admit that she's just purely an ideologue who doesn't actually care about any of this, doesn't care about anything other than pushing her woke agenda.
You talked about what you're hearing from stakeholders in terms of the harm reduction. You talked about drug testing. You talked about naloxone. Do you think Canada needs to expand its pharmaceutical alternative programs and or expand the number of supervised drug consumption sites, which are other harm reduction tools? Do you think that the country needs to expand kind of those two latter ones?
So I am a firm believer that harm reduction is healthcare. Harm reduction does include safe consumption sites.
It's always the opposite of reality. Harm reduction, it turns out, by the numbers, the data tells us, harm reduction is death care. That's a much more appropriate name. The left, the modern left, the woke left, just deals in euphemisms now. Euphemisms to try and hide the damage that their programs do. Like gender-affirming care, say.
It is concerning to me that this is becoming part of a polarized debate when we know that safe consumption sites just alone here have reversed 58,000 overdoses since 2016. We know the evidence shows that safe consumption sites work in community.
The evidence. Has she looked at the evidence? I wonder if she cherry-picked things. Because, I mean, what is the most cogent, what is the most salient evidence? Maybe it's how many people die. Maybe it's stuff like that. Let's see. Go back to 2016 here. Observed and projected opioid-related deaths, Canada, January 2016 to December 2024. So let's see. Now, if it's life-saving, as she says, if it really works, she's such a firm believer in it. And of course, it's safe injection sites, also free drugs. It's decriminalizing. If that all works, that's all harm reduction, right? It's multi-tiered. It's multi-pillared harm reduction. If that all works, you should see reduction in deaths, right? We don't. That's not what we see at all. Here we go. I mean, you can see for yourself. 2016, what, about 600 in a year? Actually, that's 600, sorry, just from January to March. Let's take a look now. 2023, January to March, that's almost 2,000. I would say that's more people. I would say that's not working. On the only metric that really actually matters, it's obviously a catastrophic failure. It has caused, I mean, how many more people have to die? How many more families have to be destroyed? All the attendant crime that comes along with it, all the attendant misery. I mean, I know people like her don't care as they step over that person ODing on the sidewalk as they're on their way to Starbucks to get their skim oat milk chai latte. But how can they, you wonder, how can they get out in public and just flat out lie? Just flat out lie. She must have seen this information. Maybe because she's a leftist, a far leftist, she just doesn't want to see it, so she's banned statistics, her own statistics, because it causes too much cognitive dissonance. I don't know. Let's take a look. British Columbia. Now, British Columbia, I've made videos on British Columbia before and the catastrophe of harm management or harm reduction, and which you can find those. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. You can find those videos. They started in about 2005. They started with this program, this multi-pillared program, right? This only goes back to 2014, but it was less than this back in 2005, obviously. So you had 370 deaths, unregulated drug deaths, 2014. 2023, 2,572. This is all directly related to government policy, harm reduction. 2024, already it's 1,365 compared to 370 in 2014. Clearly, it's not working, right? These are the only metrics that matter. This is the only thing that matters, right? Clearly, she's either lying or she's an ideologue, or she's an ideologue and she's lying, or she's delusional. I don't know, but she's wrong, clearly wrong.
They not only save lives, they are the access door for individuals who struggle with substance use to get primary health care, to begin to contemplate treatment and access to other tools and resources to get them to a better place in managing their addiction, but also being able to get into programs.
Okay, but why does none of that happen? And why do we have this? Why do we have these numbers here? Like, that's almost, from 2014 to 2023 is almost an order of magnitude more deaths. In Canada, you can see just from January to March 2016, an increase of about 600, to 2023 January to March, almost 2,000. More than a threefold increase there. Why do we see that? If what she's saying is true, why do we see that? Why am I doing this? Why aren't the journalists pulling this up and asking her about it?
When you close that door, we lose lives, we lose people, because the truth is that if we don't have a harm reduction piece to our strategy, then people will die alone.
The truth is, she says, the truth is, I mean, I'm speechless, right? The truth is, she says, that's the truth, she says. As usual, what they say is the opposite of the truth. Whatever they say, it's the opposite of what they say. Harm reduction. It should be called life reduction. This is insane. Like, how we've gotten to this. And it's not just in the, I mean, this is all spread all over the United States as well, all over Europe. While people were asleep, these people took over. And they're just out gaslighting everybody, and they don't care. If this person cared, she must have access to the same numbers that I have and that I'm sharing with you. She must have access to those numbers. She must know that it's a catastrophe. She must know. She must know that she is killing people that don't need to die. Her policies are killing people that don't need to die. And yet she still gets out and says this. What explains that exactly?
We know that these are the facts. And we also know that when they come to safe consumption sites, there's a reduce in criminality. There's reductions in.
Really? Because criminality is up quite a bit in Canada. So that's also a lie. A lot of it, obviously, a lot of the increase in criminality in Canada, obviously, is going to be driven by addiction, by drug use. People finding ways to get money, whatever way they can to get money so they can buy drugs. It's unbelievable that this passes. Why isn't she being grilled by the reporters? Can the journalists not find this? This is government websites. These are government statistics. Anybody can find these in a couple of minutes. Why are the journalists not grabbing this data and grilling them, saying, no, it's not good enough for you to say these are the facts. They're not the facts. You're either stupid or you're lying. Why does it fall to somebody like me to spend the 2 minutes that it takes to find this data? To tell all of you. It really is, it really does expose how the media is no longer what it used to be. It's been changed. It's been like everything that's infiltrated by wokeness, by progressivism. It's been changed from its original purpose into something else. And the purpose is always further left. Whatever it is, just further left. Support left. Whatever it is. An order of magnitude more people die from drug overdoses? Fine. It just means that it's not left enough yet. We just need to be more left, I guess. Is that the rationale behind it? It doesn't matter to them. They're not, again, these aren't journalists anymore. Why do we call them journalists? Straight up propagandists. Or craven or cowardly, whatever. Again, it shouldn't be up to me. It shouldn't be up to me to come up with this, to show this easily found information that the government provides to us. It's genuinely shocking, is it not? All right. It drives you, it's enough to drive you insane when you see shit like this. People like this who will just get up and they're either totally incompetent or ignorant or they're liars. I mean, for her, obviously, she can never admit that she's wrong, that her ideology is wrong, that progressivism is wrong, that harm reduction is wrong. It doesn't work. The policies, maybe you could keep the name harm reduction and then actually have policies that would reduce harm instead of reducing life, which is what it obviously is happening here. Everything, it's always the opposite of what they say. Whatever they say it is, whatever euphemism they come up with, you can just say so it's the opposite of that. Gender affirming care. So that they're trying to convert people into believing that they're a different gender. I see. Okay. Just assume whatever they're saying, it's the opposite of that. And you could never go wrong. All right. And I just have to restate it. I'm going to get to the chat in a second. I just have to restate again. It's not hard to find. It's all right there. Everything we need to know is right here. Anybody can find it. The journalists can find it. This woman must know. She must know the consequences of these policies. She must. It's stuff like this that makes me feel like I'm going insane. How does the whole world not understand this, right? How does the whole world not see something like this and go, no, she's wrong. That's bullshit. Why is she fucking lying? Is that the purpose? To make us all think that we've lost our minds? Why isn't this the biggest scandal in Canada? Aside from, along with all of the other Trudeau scandals, this is maybe one of the biggest ones because this one's actually killing people. And we have the data to prove it. It's enough to make you think you're losing your mind. It honestly is. Is it just me? Am I totally misinterpreting all of this? This obvious reality? Anyway. It's enough to drive you nuts. Rosie says that Selma can swim without drowning. Very buoyant. She is. Let's get another look at that. She's got no worries. She's got no worries in that pool. She'll be fine. She could just pass out. As long as she passes out on her back, she'll be fine. Let's see. Let's go back to this. Let's see. Antipop says Trudeau's completely out of his league. I tend to agree with you on that. Let's see. Unless his purpose is to destroy Canada, then he's great at it. He's great at his job. If that's his true purpose. All right. Let's see. Let's see. We got the ventilator in the chat. Good to see ya. Says, hey, RB was watching the Dodgers. I shall never forgive you. No, that's okay. Let's see. Avada says, hey, vent. Yeah, you do need to vent sometimes. It's madness. We see literal madness around. Whether you're in Canada or the UK or the US, whatever. We've seen things that are just unprecedented, right? Purest lunacy. We're talking last week about, Texas being sued by the Biden administration to prevent them from putting up border barriers, to prevent people from crossing over the the border, that the Biden administration sued Texas to prevent them from stopping people crossing the border illegally. Because obviously their intention was the entire time from starting day one, when they got rid of Trump's policies, border policies, was to flood the United States with people. And they did so. And you watch it unfolding and you go, what's happening? Am I losing my mind? Am I actually in like an insane asylum right now and I'm just hallucinating everything? What's happening exactly? You see some of this stuff and you go, what? You see in the UK, they arrested like 1,000 people in a week for writing naughty things on the internet. And that seems to be the least of their problems, right? You go, what again? Am I in an insane asylum? I'm hallucinating all of this? What's happening exactly? Let's see. All right, so what else we got here? Let's see. All right, I'm going to have to skip to the end of the chat here because there's way too much. Nevada said, good rant, Richie. Well, thank you, sir. Nevada says, commies. I do believe you're correct there. Do believe you're correct. Commies. Nevada says, I wonder how much money they pissed away on this program. Oh, hundreds of millions. Rosie says, harm reduction. What is that? That says harm at some level is acceptable. We do not plan to eradicate, just reduce. Well, I think it is true that you're never going to get rid of all harm. Not in a free society. You're not going to, but what you definitely don't want to do is increase it, which is what they're doing. I mean, obviously that's what they're doing. There's no other interpretation of the data than that. By every metric that matters, they're increasing harm. And again, it makes you feel like you're losing your mind sometimes when you see this stuff is happening and society is just going on as if everything's normal. Antipop has a terrible idea. He says, make cars more affordable to people who spend more on alcohol. I believe that's what we might call some self-advocacy there from Antipop. Never be afraid to speak your mind. Tell people what you want, Antipop. Rosie says 9.5 out of 10. Talking about the rant, it was a pretty good one. Rosie says, abortion is killing people. Why did they not see that either? Well, that would interfere with too many careers in cubicles, unfortunately. Let's see. Antipop wouldn't have his job without his daddy. Talking about Trudeau? Yeah. Well, it's the last name and then good hair and teeth. That's what got him the job. And Canada just being asleep, and just... Canadians got used to having, reasonably responsible government, at least being run by people who didn't hate Canada for decades, since Mulroney, right? And, you can complain about, we can complain about Chrétien, we can complain about Martin, you can complain about Harper if you want, or Mulroney, but they weren't fucking lunatics. None of them were. I mean, they were within the parameters of what a decent leader is. I'm not saying any of them were perfect. I'm not saying they were all the same. I'm just saying they were in the parameters of what we've come to expect as at least, sanely reasonable leader, right? Who didn't hate the country. And we fell asleep. We let our guard down and we let in a fucking retard. An absolute fucking retard.
I have a slight learning disability.
I'm sorry. I mean, I shouldn't say retard. That's unfair to people. You get my point here. I think we let in a snake, a sneaky snake, an underhanded, malign character. That's what happened. We weren't paying attention. We let a psychopath in, and he's doing what psychopaths do. Rosie says, that is why those puffy life vests are called Mae West. Are they? I didn't know that. Let's take a look again. They flip you over on your back. Selma will be fine either way. So she could pass out in the water. She could have too many margaritas, pass out in the water, and she'd be fine because she would just flip over onto her back because of the Mae West real life jacket that she has on her body all the time. So I'm good. I'm glad. I'm glad for that. Now I don't have to worry about her so much. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So I think it's time for us to move on. Maybe we should talk about something. Let's go to something a bit lighter after dealing with that depressing shit. Plus size influencer claims she has to fly on private jets after being banned from commercial flights because she takes up 3 seats. Hold on one second. Let's just take a look at this.
And now we are landing. It's flying private dissolution. Some airlines banned me, so this is how I have to travel. Every time I travel, I used to buy 2 or 3 seats. So I just started a campaign requesting bigger seats and they didn't like it. Now flying private is my only solution. This is a 10-hour flight, so my only requirement is a lot of food. The takeoff was very fast and the plane felt lighter. So I wanted to thank the brave pilots. They were so focused, but now I want to go to my favorite place, the VIP bathroom. I'm not sure I'm gonna fit in this, but we'll see. I eat a lot, so let's go to my 4th meal. It was the perfect healthy snack. After eating, I'm napping. I slept like a queen for 3 hours. Being banned from airlines is the best thing that happened to me. Now I can enjoy all these experiences. I ate all the food in the plane and now we are landing. Is flying private dissolution for big girls like me? Some
I had the giant ass. I don't know. Look, I actually made a few notes for this one. I don't do notes for, obviously I can't do for this, like a 6-hour-long stream, but there's a few little things that I'll do some notes for. This one, the notes for this are just titled Giant Ass. Giant Ass. And before we get into this a little bit, I just want to, there's something we have to do. It's really just a formality at this point. When do we do it? Hold on, not quite yet. No, not yet. Not yet. Hold on. Coming. I'm just waiting for just the right moment. Hold on. And I think just never gets old. Just never gets old. Ah, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful damn thing. All right. So these things confuse me. We've seen another one of videos like this, another video like this. I don't know if it was the same woman or not, but immediately it just it causes some sort of confusion in your brain because you look and you say, well, she's not actually fat. Like her upper body is not fat, but then she's got this giant ass and giant legs. And what's happening here? Because that's not natural. There's nothing natural about that. You know, obviously it's some sort of implants. So you'd have to spend money. You'd have to decide, I want to get these implants into my ass. And I have to wonder who likes that. I mean, what is the purpose of it? I mean, is it mental illness that she just decided that, like, I have to have proportionally the biggest ass? Is it like Instagram or TikTok or something that made her do it? I don't know. Isn't it uncomfortable? And like, what is it, like saline bags in her ass? Like giant saline bags in her ass? Like what if the ass bags burst somewhere? Then you've got like half an ass and all kinds of health problems, obviously. Right? And like the other thing I don't get is, so she's on private jets, so she's got to have some dough. So I'm wondering, is there like some like Saudi prince who was like the world's like biggest ass man? Because she's like flying around on private jets, she says. Because the airlines won't have her on because her ass is too big. So none of this makes any sense to me because it's not attractive. Like it's like there's nothing proportional about this. I don't understand it. Who likes that? Does anybody in the chat that likes literally like the most disproportionately giant ass in the world? Because I mean, this has to be done on purpose. I mean, it's not natural. This isn't genetics. This is obviously ass implants. It's not squats. No, this is ass implants for some reason. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand what's happened to the world. None of this makes any sense to me. I think it's wrong.
You shall not pass!
No, do something. Just have a normal ass, like a normal person, for God's sakes. You don't have to do this. Somebody's giving her money to do this ass, to do her ass experiments. I don't know. Anyway, I don't approve. That's all I'm saying. All right. We're not going to do the baby man yet. We're going to save that for a little bit. I think what we might do right now, though, we've got lots more stuff to do. We're going to do this. Trump vows to invoke Operation Aurora to deal with Venezuelan gangs. But before we get there, unfortunately, if you're watching on YouTube, I mentioned earlier that we start out streaming on both Rumble and YouTube. But unfortunately, because of censorship reasons on StalinTube, call it StalinTube sometimes, or MouthTube, I have learned that I can no longer do a full live stream on YouTube. So we cut off the YouTube portion of the stream, and we continue on, bravely on Rumble. And there's always way more people on Rumble anyway, and the chat is fantastic. So I appreciate everybody who watches on YouTube. But please come and join us over on Rumble right now. We're going to keep the show going. Thank you very much. Otherwise, I will see you for, about an hour on Sunday night.